A few days ago, I realized that the majority of people I know personally wouldn't really care if I disappeared or passed away. There are around 200,000 deaths every day, and one day it's going to be me, but nothing will really change. Most of my friends and family would forget that, and the world will keep turning. In my community, I can usually understand people to the point where they sometimes ask me how I can read their minds, but I've never felt understood myself. My closest friends are the only ones who have come close, but still not as much as I hoped, and I don't blame them. I know I'm not alone in feeling this way, and for those of you who have felt the same but moved on, how did you do it? Story 1. They care a bit. You care a bit about the people around you, right? You would get on with your day if you heard that the guy who checks out your groceries every week had died in a car accident, but you would think it was a bad thing. Nobody is going to care about you as much as you care about yourself. Frankly, that being the case might be a bit unhealthy for the person in question. But that is okay. Your life is important to you, and that is enough to make it matter. When others care too, that is an extra, something more to appreciate. Story 2. I usually have periods when I feel that way, but I've been proven wrong enough times to know that that's just me and my feelings. I call myself reading people well, and I do, but I have a definite blind spot when it comes to positive connections directed at me. You might as well. Now, I can't say folks wouldn't move on. Like, most folks aren't going to jump into the casket with you, but that's not really not caring. So I think I deal with it by remembering that I am incredibly wrong about that most of the time. Story 3. I think I know exactly how that feels. Like you see through people, but they can't see past your face. I think the only thing that's left to do is keep being yourself and not give up on the idea that some person will make it worth it someday. A friend or a lover. It doesn't mean you don't care about your current friends anymore, but I think it means you have needs they cannot meet to feel like you really belong. Story 4. People come into your life for a reason and a season. We, as humans, don't have the emotional or mental capacity to handle too many intense personal connections. If you felt every one of those 200,000 deaths a day the same way you felt the death of a friend, you'd never be able to get off the couch. You have to cultivate your circle for the time. Some people will remain in it forever, and some people will pass through. And while it's impossible to demand an exact balance, don't spend too much energy on someone that doesn't care much about you, and don't let people give you everything if you don't want to return that roughly in kind. Story 5. Well, for me personally, I choose to be detached from it. I choose not to expect other people, even the closest to me, to care for me. It's completely their choice. The number one reason I noticed that we shouldn't really care about what other people think of us or care about whether they care about us or not is because everyone is just too caught up with themselves. Occasionally, they'll sympathize or empathize with people, but over the course of most of their lives, they care more about themselves. I don't think this is wrong. This is just natural, and the very reason we want to be cared for is because we, first of all, care about ourselves enough not to want to be lonely. I can deal with knowing the fact that people don't care, because they have their own life to live, which I respect. Also, if no one else cares about me in this world, I always have myself for as long as I live. Story 6. I'll say this as a person who used to feel that way. There are people who do. You just have to put yourself out there. But if you think you're going to catch a fish without even casting a lure, let alone not bringing the pole, it isn't going to happen. Reach out to people. Firstly, your closest people you see as best friends. Reach out to old coaches or teachers that you had a good relationship with, etc. I was depressed because I had so many friends but felt lonely. I went on cool trips with older groups that weren't my age, and instead of 100% enjoying what I was doing, I was comparing it and being sad I wasn't doing it with people my age. When I posted on Facebook, the only way at that point, as I was ready to commit suicide by driving my truck into a wall, dozens of people commented, texted, and called. I have a family friend who was on vacation in the Bahamas call me up and text me without hesitating about the charges he was about to get billed. I don't talk to him often or see him much due to moving, but I guarantee if things hit the fan for me again, he's ready to dial at a moment's notice. In all, and I don't mean to make it sound harsh, if you're sitting there sad and you just sit in it versus making active steps to try and fix it, you have to eventually blame yourself for not taking the steps. I'm 24. I wanted to kill myself on December 8, 2016. I'm happy I'm here. I'm happy I'm alive and have a lot of support in life. And if you need to send me a private message to talk about life and need someone to vent, listen, or advise you, I'm here, because I sure as hell have dealt with a lot for my young age. Wish you the best. Story 7, you have to be able to rely on yourself. You are your biggest advocate, biggest fan, biggest critic, the one most interested in your looks, health, bank account, wardrobe, video game collection, pain, happiness, sense of taste, despair, and hope. Your life is really all about you, no one else. Yes, you have others you are going to take care of, but you take better care of them by taking good care of yourself first. Maybe you can be a Saint Francis of Assisi. Most can't, and most people you meet aren't. Story 8. It's extremely freeing. Knowing that I can literally pick up and leave my current situation at any time, and at most, I will have a couple of people who don't really care complain at me for a couple of days before leaving me be is very liberating. It's nice not having too many attachments, especially if you can be very self-sufficient. Cuts out a lot of fat and filler from everyday life. Story 9. Make better relationships. Make a positive impact on people's lives. I don't care about the crowds of people I barely know that may or may not miss me, but I care deeply about the friends and family that I would miss and hope would miss me. Story 10. By finding people who care about me. Networking through hobbies creates centers for like-minded people. Keep finding activities that interest you and broaden your search. For example, sports, sporting events, school, classes, volunteering, coaching, online communities, video games, etc. Fill your life with these kinds of activities and meet new people. By having a hobby that brings you and someone together, this opens up the dialogue to see if you're compatible, whether you're looking for a friend or a loved one. Networking and broadening that network can help you meet like-minded people who will understand what you mean when you say it, complement your thinking style, and generally get along with. Story 11. People really give me a hard time when I say this, but I feel like the COVID-19 pandemic very much showed me who my true friends are. Yes, I am aware that everyone is going through their own struggles right now. I'm not holding it against a friend or acquaintance if they weren't the most available for the last year. But at the same time, I cannot ignore that some people really showed up and prioritized me, while others didn't. The same can be said for me. I drifted from many people a few months into the COVID-19 pandemic. That's life. And I hope when life gets back to some semblance of normal, I can repair those crumbling relationships, because I know for sure that I will be open to it. Story 12. In terms of people I know, it bothers me a bit, but I guess the further you go outside my network of friends, the less I care. While that may sound callous, the same is probably true for someone I know through a friend of someone's girlfriend or something like that. There are a handful of in-between people who, if I died, would probably contact one of my friends to ask how they are holding up and probably feel secondhand grief on their part. They can go on living, but they would be concerned for my friends. In terms of society in general, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, you have to hold yourself accountable for things, and you want to try your best to not look like an idiot, but if you make a fool of yourself in public, no one really cares. No one cares about you as much as you think they do, and there's something comforting in that. Story 13. A majority of people in your life aren't going to be super close to you. I have more coworkers than I do close friends, for instance. I honestly don't care if Sarah in accounting cares about me. Story 14. It's mutual. I don't care about most of them either. The few I do, I keep in contact with on a regular basis and will most likely be friends with until the end. I can count 7. Quality, not quantity. Story 15. I mean, that seems pretty normal as you won't be close with most people you see, just a certain few individuals outside of your family. In the end, I feel that the quality of the bond is better than quantity. Story 16. I know what you mean. Sit one day in the park and look at how our world goes around. Then look at the sky, the sun, the clouds, the trees, the birds, and the grass. You will realize we are just a puzzle that makes this beautiful world. Story 17. You would be surprised at who would miss you. You think the numbers would be small, but your absence would be felt more than you know. You have touched people, made a difference in their lives, and you aren't even aware of it. Trust me on this and take good care. You matter. Story 18. The world will keep spinning, and life will continue no matter how important you are or think you are. Even your mother, who creates her world around her kids, will miss you, but life will go on. Your partner, if younger, may have someone intimate with her within the year. She may not even like it at first and may still think of you, but to move on, she has to. Your life is yours to live, and just because these things happen, it does not mean people did not care. What do you actually consider an act of caring? It sounds like you feel sorry for yourself. What will you do for those you care about when they die? Go on a hunger strike to demonstrate your love for someone no longer around? No, you do your best to forget the pain of losing them. Story 19. Put energy into the ones that do care, and you'll forget the rest. Having a close-knit group of 3 or 4 people is so much more fulfilling than numerous people who don't care. I know from personal experience, I left the big crowd scene, where everyone only looks out for themselves, and focused on family and meaningful friendships, and it makes a huge difference. Now, when I see those people who were once friends, acquaintances at best, I don't miss that life at all, whereas before I would be struck with sadness and fear of missing out. You'll be all right, original poster. Edit. Fixing and autocorrect. Story 20. I cut them out because there are people who care about me, and I focus my energy on them instead of people who pretend to care about me. Basically, with family, I believe family is all you have, and that blood is thicker than water, so I make an effort. My family used to think very little of me, but since graduating, moving out, and getting a house, they take me a lot more seriously now. It has nothing to do with financial success. That's a byproduct of me finally becoming a man. My dad's words on my birthday last year, not mine. I didn't do it for my dad's approval. I just woke up one day, wasn't happy with myself, and finally got my life sorted in my last year of university. Again, it's just a byproduct that getting my life sorted is what got me more respect and care from my family. With friends, however, you do get to choose them. If I'm always someone's 10th pick, I'm not going to think much of them out of mutual respect. If I'm someone's first pick, I'm probably going to make some effort to go to their event and maybe replan what I'm doing for that person. Nobody wants to feel unwanted, but we love to feel wanted. You know those social media events and parties you get added to after the event has already existed for 2 weeks or so, and the date is in a week and not many people clicked going, or maybe so you join an event as an afterthought to get more people in. So I wasn't initially invited. That means I wasn't a priority. I became a priority when everyone who was a priority canceled on them. That's a classic case where I just say, no, those are the people you cut out of your life and make no time for. In short, family is the only one you get, so make an effort. Some families are really dysfunctional, but you shouldn't give up on them. Friends, however, you get to choose, so aim for quality over quantity. If you're their last choice, make them your last choice too. If you're their first choice, within reason, try to make them your first choice too. Story 21. No one really knows the impact that they have on other people's lives. I've had so many people that I poured love into trying to help or save them only for them not to care about me. I've had near strangers come up to me years later after giving a talk, thanking me for changing their lives with a single story or insight that was spontaneous. It sounds like you might be struggling with depression. One of the harmful things about depression is that it changes the way the world appears to us. It alters our perception and saliency. Like when you are really hungry and drive through town, all you see are restaurants and ads for food. Except with depression, it's more about what you can't see, your connections to other people, your value to them, your worth as a human. Agreeable people like us invest a lot in our relationships, and empathy is one of our core values. Understanding another is one of the ways we express love. It can make us bitter and resentful when that investment isn't reciprocated. But a lot of the time, it simply boils down to those people's minds don't work the same way. And that's okay. What is beneficial for us is to communicate those needs without assuming reciprocity by default. If you communicate that need and people respond to it, be sure to reward them for doing so. You are teaching them a new skill. It's a hard thing to care so deeply in such a nihilistic, shallow culture. Try to find people who value empathy and mutual understanding the way that you do. But be wary of people who self-identify as empaths, as a lot of them are predatory narcissists or have borderline personality traits, and you cannot help those people and they are very, very unlikely to change. Work on the skills you need to discern who you bring into your life, and be honest about what you need from people. You'll get better at curating an amazing group of people who genuinely care about you. The rest can go their own way. Story 22. Not sure how old you are, but most people have this realization at some point. It's normal. Fun fact, when you care about other people, they will care about you. It's human nature. Some people are naturally good at it, like my good friend Daniel. He dropped dead in the gym of a widowmaker at age 38. Everyone was devastated. That was 9 years ago and made me a better person. Reaching out to people on their birthday, random phone calls, and so on. Life is short, be nice, have fun.